Alright, howdy folks. Welcome back to Top Comics Pressing. We're going to dive into a case study here with a very popular issue of Iron Man 55 from 1973. This is a pretty epic early Jim Starlin comic book, and not only that, it is a multiple first appearance issue, so this one is a, mega key for a lot of folks, not only because it has the first appearance of Thanos in it, who of course was one of the major MCU bad guys, but it's also the first appearance of Drax the Destroyer, who was prominently featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, as well as the Marvel Endgame key arc. And so this one's a biggie. This one's coming to us pre-graded CGC 7.0 off-white to white pages, so pretty good page quality for a book from the early 70s. And what drew my attention to picking this one out is, particularly if you look here, is this thing has a ton of foxing. So you can see it all over. And books like this are the ones I personally love fixing up because it looks dingy and disgusting. And hopefully by the time we are done with it, we are going to be able to make this thing shine and sparkle. All right, now when considering what kind of bumpskis we can get, we can look at the other kind of defects that we can see, some of which are listed on the CGC grader notes, so I'll let you look those up if you'd like. Others of which, might have to scour for. So one thing that is not listed is, if you look here, you can see staple rust, and that is on both staples, although it is significantly worse on the bottom. And there is creasing, which is noted. And there's two creases. There's one that goes from the edge to about the apostrophe, and then there's another one right here. And so either of these creases are going to take us out of a 9.0 range, or even just this crease might drop you to a 9.0, even though it's incredibly small. So my goal for this one is to get it up to about an 8. I'd be ecstatic with an 8.5. I think it'd be delusional to go any higher than an 8.5, but we'll see how it goes. But if I can bump this from a 7 to an 8, that to me would be worth the resubmit. So that's the target here, and so let's go ahead and get cracking. There we go, around the post. As always, just open that up and just slide the screwdriver right on down the side. Nothing too crazy. And this one we're just going to slide all the way open. There we go. Ta-da. Whoop. Too early on the ta-da there. That one's stuck in there. Peel that on out. Cool. Put that on down, slide this on over. All right, now let's just see which edge we're going to cut this through, and I think we're going to go through the bottom. It looks a little tight up top, so we're just going to tap it to give us the biggest perimeter possible, and now it looks like there's a nice big one on the bottom, so we'll take that. Keep going here with a fresh box cutting knife. I do like it when they have a little bit more of a border. Makes this part a lot less stressful. They're really, really fine. Borders are super, super challenging. All right. There we go. Use my little trick here with the scissors to open up a flap. It will let me fit my big fat fingers in there. Ta-da. For some finger space, slide it on out right past the camera, and then unfortunately that is going to be a finger bend there on the shoulder, so that one's unfortunate. Just see here, we do have a bunch of foxing on the back cover there. You can see that there's a little bit on the interior splash page, which is really unfortunate. You can see it down there too, so that limits what we're going to be able to do with this. See if we can find any of the micro chamber paper. Oh, Thanos, there he is. Look at that. That is Thanos. First panel. Check it out. My name, Iron Man, is Thanos. All right, sorry. Drifting off. There we go. That's the micro chamber paper we were looking for. And then we'll just take a quick peek under the front cover here. Yep, some more foxing on the front splash page. All the way down. So I might try a blue LED treatment with no peroxide and no moisture on the front page just to be able to try to help us out. Yeah, and this little ding there on the bottom is for sure going to be a grade limiting defect even with the foxing. So, yep, yeah, sometimes with the foxing when it's real heavy, you're going to get it on that interior page and always makes it a little bit more trouble. But let's go ahead and take this one to the photo booth and come on back in a few minutes. All right, folks, let's get dry cleaning this. This one didn't have a whole lot, I don't think, to dry clean, but we can go ahead and get started. Now, around this staple, there is some wear, so we're gonna have to be careful that we don't pop it or detach it. But I'm also gonna try to lighten that rust with my micro eraser. Now, if you abrade the staple, CGC is gonna flag that as staple is cleaned. But I've done this to a bunch of books, and they've never flagged one where I just gently rub the staple with my eraser, and it tends, I think, to be all right. And I can go kind of on, because I use the eraser on the paper, I can kind of do the sides as well. I just want to be careful not to, rip or cause any damage to the staple. This one's looking good. And you can see all that red on the eraser. That's all just rust we're taking off. And again, you can have very minor staple rust at typically a 9.4, and you can have much more serious staple rust at an 8.5. And the real concern here is, let's just open it up. I doubt this one's going to have significant staple rust migration. Yeah, so, but if you open it up to the centerfold and you see big brown spotches around the staple, that's migration to the paper, and that's really bad. But I think at this point we can get that 8.5 with just a little bit of that light staple rust cleaned up. And I obviously don't want to overdo it. But that's all we're going to do for that. Just make it better. We're okay leaving some there. This one definitely has a miswrap because you can see this huge white perimeter on the front cover. Plus, I own this book. This is like the first one in a long time where this case study is a book I own. So we're going to try to help me out here. Yeah, we're going to go for optimistic about an 8.0. I think an 8.5 is probably a stretch. I'd be really bummed if we only got a 7.5 out of it. So, but we will see. You can have light foxing at a 9.4 if it's super light foxing, and you can have much more severe foxing at a 9 or an 8. So, we don't need to get it all out. We just need to really help improve it. And I think that's an important take home for these stain removal and whitening techniques. I think sometimes people swing for the grand slam or the mega home run, and that's really not how you want to be using them. So we're gonna not be able to get it all. This mark here and this mark here, by the way, are staple rust from another issue that was pressed upon this one without a bag and a board. And that's unfortunate because we're not going to be able to do jack for those marks. And there's so much foxing, it's hard to tell if this is doing a whole lot or not, but at least if I look at the color of the eraser bits that are coming off, they are dark. Now, I want to get this side swipe here off without getting that black border, and so I'm going to turn to my micro eraser there and get it real close to the edge. There we go. Stupid all-white back covers. You know which books I love dry cleaning? Amazing Spider-Man 300. Takes like 2 seconds. The whole black cover, or the whole back cover is black. The front cover only has a couple of patches of white. Whew. Quick dry clean. Not much there. New Mutants 98's the same way. You can tell ink got cheaper over the years because the all these white back covers, I'm sure, were an effort to save on ink. Nice streak here at the corner. A little bit of distributor overspray mark. I think somebody must have already done a pretty good job of cleaning that off. But you can see that little bit of red right there, and if I look on the side here, you can see that there's red going over there. So that's definitely just a little patch of distributor overspray. Somebody did a nice job cleaning most of that off. So pretty sure this book had been previously cleaned and pressed, but that person didn't know about blue LED overlays. So we're going to give it the Top Comics treatment. A little more visible schmutz up here. Alright, I think this one's going to be ready for the blue light box. Wasn't a ton on there to clean up, but I'm happy we did. So we clean it up. So this one's ready for the overlays. This thing's gonna need a lot of overlays. We're probably looking at 10 to 16 total. Yeah, so a lot. We're gonna start with the full 3% hydrogen peroxide on it as well. You know, I'll probably start 3 exterior back, 3 exterior front. That'll be 6. We'll probably do 2 interior front and back, and then we'll see how it looks, and I might do a few more after that. Like I said, I'm not going to aim for all of it. I want to leave some of these patches that kind of match up and line up, particularly with the staple rust and the evidence of staple rust on the back, or at least exposure to other rusted staples. We're not gonna go for 100% removal, but I'd like to hit 85. The other thing that makes me nervous is this front staple. You can see that there's just a little hair of paper right there kind of overlapping, and so I hope that staple isn't mostly busted, so we're gonna have to be particularly delicate with that. So all right, stay tuned. All right, here we are, folks. Pre-pressed look at this copy of the Iron Man number 55. So you can see here, this looks a lot better. There's still a very small amount of dirt up there, and I think I probably thought that was foxing, but it's actually dirt. So I'm gonna spend a quick second to quick dry clean that. But you can see here that this comic looks totally transformed in terms of its scuzziness. The back is night and day. So from arm's length there, you know, it looks still cream. So if I compare it again to my sheet of white paper, there's not any mistaking it for, you know, a 2023 sheet of copy paper. But you can see that it does look vastly improved. A lot of those big patches of foxing are gone. And so this one's going to be ready for the press. It did end up taking me about a total of 10 treatments to do this, spread between the front and the back and the interior covers. So for a little bit of a hint on how I set up my interior doodad to do the inner covers, you can see that video. That's a separate one on the blue light box. All right, yeah, so this one's going to go in for the press. We're going to give it our standard press setup, backer board at centerfold. Then we're going to put the cardstock under the front cover and the back cover. We're going to squeeze it at 155 degrees for 15 minutes, and we'll come on back and take a peek at it then. All right, this one's all set to go back to Florida. So it looks a lot whiter. It looks a lot brighter. The staple does not look any worse than when it started, so I checked that. The colors look vibrant. Now we just have to hope that the little scratch there and the creasing right there and right there don't keep this thing down too far. I'm got my fingers crossed for an 8. I think an 8.5 is a really, really far stretch, but you know, I'd be disappointed if it came back as 7.5 with those 3 defects really being all that there is to it. So keep your fingers crossed for me, and we'll let you know when this one is back home. All right, folks, welcome back. Well, the good news is that we now have a CGC grade on this copy of Iron Man 55, which was a off-white 7.0 copy. I forgot that I was going to do an unboxing with, so I opened the box. You'll have to forgive me. And so we'll just have a little bit of drum roll here because I have the comic bump. So this one got a little bit of a bump from a 7.0 to a 7.5. I actually am a little bummed about that. I was really excited to try to hit that 8.0 guideline. You know, it's probably fair. The CGC grader notes on this copy, I'll let you go grab that there, seem to have missed a bunch of the creasing, and instead they focused on foxing and staining. There is some staining back here that we called out from the staple rust, so you can see that those were from other copies, but those are all in all pretty small stains. I've definitely seen much higher grade books with that, and I don't really see any other staining or anything else. I mean, there's a very, very, very little bit of super light foxing right here, but again, I don't think that that justifies the 7.5. The notes were pretty absent on the creasing, and I think it's actually the creasing that keeps the grade down, and so to me, at least, this is kind of a disappointing bump. I know it still did bump ski, and it's, you know, a great book to have bumped it all on, but unfortunately I don't think it hit that grade that we were looking for. I think it's also a great cautionary tale for those of you looking at CGC grader notes that, you know, the grader notes might not always tell the whole truth, and so it's really good to inspect a comic with your own eyes. Certainly this one has 3 small creases, one right there on the shoulder, one right here through the word 2, and then there's another one down here under the word brothers with a little chip and nick. And ultimately, I think that those are what are keeping the grade down. I don't think that the staining and the foxing is, at least based on my, you know, recent grades and looking at other people's books and whatnot. So that's my 2 cents. It's still a bumpski. Unfortunately, it's not a big bumpski, so it's a baby bump, but we'll take it. Yeah, so anyway, that's how this one turned out. Stay tuned, leave a thumbs up, click that subscribe button. According to the YouTube analytics, more than half the people who watch the videos actually aren't subscribed. So it's just a little button right down below there. Just click the subscribe for me. I'd appreciate that. So other than that, stay tuned. Keep on collecting.